Interview donc de la chasse. J'ai le
Here
plaisir
we
de
are
t'accueillir, Thomas
for the interview
Vinterberg.
for
Merci,
the
Thomas,
hunt.
d'être là. Et à vos côtés,
Thank you,
Mats
Thomas
Mikkelsen.
Vinterberg
Merci de prendre
and
un
Mats
micro,
Mikkelsen.
tous les deux. Thomas Vinterberg. Alors,
Please speak
pourquoi un
in the
sujet comme
mic.
celui-là,
So,
délicat,
why
presque à
such
l'inverse, j'ai envie de
a
dire,
difficult
de Festen?
subject, the reverse of Festen in a way?
Well, for me, the subject of this movie gives me the opportunity to tell a love story between a lot of people. A very strong friend relationship, very friendly and strong relationship between a man and a girl, and about fatherhood, and about this village, and about the loss of innocence in this village and in society in some way. So for me it was not a difficult subject, but a very interesting subject.
Pourquoi avoir choisi Mats
Why
Mikkelsen
did you
pour
choose
incarner
Mats Mikkelsen
un instituteur qui travaille
to
dans un
play
jardin
a
d'enfants? Parce que
school
Mats
teacher
Mikkelsen, dans
who's
sa filmographie, on l'imagine
in
pas forcément
a
dans ce
kindergarten?
rôle-là.
That's not the
Pourquoi
kind of
l'avoir
role
choisi?
you imagine for him. Why did you choose that actor?
Well, first of all, Mads Mikkelsen is a fabulous actor in any way, in many ways, and I understand why he's been doing it so well and why he's become a huge star. He's absolutely giving and fantastic to work with, and I've always looked forward to work with him one day. The choice of making Mads a school teacher and a typical castrated Danish Scandinavian man was interesting because he's so beautiful and because he is so much the opposite, and we both found that it gave some resonance to the character. Also, it gives the character a possibility of arising to become a real man at the end. So yeah, it was a joyride.
Yeah. Comment vous, oui, Mats, comment vous avez abordé ce
And
rôle?
Mats, how did you approach this role? Were you surprised that Thomas would ask you to play this? Are you the perfect Scandinavian man? How do you see your character?
Well, the perfect Scandinavian man, I don't know about that. I think we're a mix of a lot of things in Scandinavia, but there is a tendency that we have changed into the slightly softer the last couple of decades, I guess. And this is not necessarily a typical man. If I was him, this film would be 10 minutes long. Fortunately, I'm not. He has difficulties saying stop, saying no. And that is his personal journey. It's not the film's journey, but that is his personal journey. No, I was not surprised. Thomas gave me the script and he approached me. We've known each other since way back. But in those days, he had this little club, the Vinterberg club, and I was in a different club. When we were young, we needed to have clubs. And now we become slightly older, we open up a little, start working with each other, and I'm just so really, really pleased that he offered me the part.
C'est deux familles de cinéma, quand vous parlez de club, c'est deux
So you're
familles de
talking
cinéma
about
danois
two
qui se
families of
réunissent
Danish cinema when you talk about clubs. So
Mats Mikkelsen
when
pour jouer dans
Thomas
votre film.
chooses Mats for this film?
I think there was like 50 little clubs. I think we all needed to find our way of working, and we needed to do that with certain people for a period to find our footings. And as I said, when we got less childish and a little more adult, we started working with other people as well.
My problem was always that he's too pretty, you know, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do about it, and I tried to dress him down in this movie, but it didn't work out well. He's still very pretty, but
older
that's
than,
okay.
way older than you, and that's a good thing.
Vous disiez tout à l'heure, Thomas, qu'il devient
You said
un
earlier,
homme
Thomas, that
au
he
fur et à mesure de
becomes
votre
a
vie.
man.
On peut se poser la question, il est accusé par une petite
If we
fille de
can,
gestes
so
déplacés,
he is
d'accusations terribles, et la
accused
rumeur a brisé
of
ses
a
relations,
pedophile
d'amitié. Mais
acts by a
pourquoi
little
ne se
girl,
défend-il
and
pas plus?
why
Puisque
doesn't he
Mats
defend
disait,
himself
moi, j'aurais réagi, le film
more?
aurait duré
Matt said if it had been me in this role, it would have lasted 10 minutes. But is this a typically Scandinavian reaction?
I think maybe it is a typical Scandinavian reaction. I find it interesting that he insists on being a civilized human being, and he insists on justice. It's a stubborn, civilized, just man, and that may be very typical Scandinavian. In some sense, there's an echo of my own life in it. I got knocked down when I was in kindergarten because I pursued justice once. I was in a public bus with my father, and this big fat, and my sister, and this big fat man enters and tells my sister to leave. He wants the seat. And I got so angry and got so irritated, and I felt it was injustice. So I knocked the man's shoulder and I said, "You're stupid." This guy gets up and knocks me down, and was put in prison. And the boss goes to the side, and then maybe there's a little bit of this little stubborn boy in this character.
I also believe that if you're accused with a thing like this, it doesn't matter what you say. Everything will sound hollow. It will sound as an excuse. I mean, even if it did it or didn't do it, it will sound wrong. And for that reason, he's trying, not to be aggressive with it. He believes that it will be fixed. People love him. They will believe him. But the longer he waits, the less they believe him. I think it's not a necessarily Scandinavian thing. It's a very human thing.
It's civilized, right? And people have asked me, why doesn't he leave? Well, that would prove them right, in some sense. He's instead of escaping this conflict, he's going to the heart of it. He's going to the church where everybody's gathered to prove that they're all wrong.
I mean, this is his life. This is his home. These are his friends. He's allowed to be here, and that is a very strange way, a combination of being stubborn and not being capable of saying no.
Mais c'était un piège alors la civilisation, Thomas
But
Vinterberg?
civilization turned out to be a kind of trap.
Yeah, I guess so. I at some point in this film, he steps out and does a very uncivilized thing, which is where people started clapping at the press conference yesterday, or at the press screening, which is interesting for me, because it's kind of a relief, a catharsis, that when he lets go of civilization and steps into character as a real man, people like that, which in a way is understandable. I would have done the same much before, but a little worrying, so to speak.
Oui, c'est vrai qu'à un moment donné, il
It's
réagit
true
par une
that
sorte
at
de
one time he
boule, on appelle
reacts
ça en français. Et c'est
by
vrai que dans la production
very
de presse,
violently, and
hier,
it's
le
true
public
that
a
in the
applaudi.
press screening
Vous
yesterday,
réalisez
the
une
audience
performance
applauded.
extraordinaire,
You
Mikkelsen,
give
dans
a
ce film, mais vous avez aussi une
fantastic
partenaire
performance,
extraordinaire,
but you
cette petite fille.
also
Comment
have an
vous avez
amazing
travaillé
partner,
avec
this little
une
girl.
enfant sur
How
un
did you
sujet
work with a
aussi
child on
délicat? Comment ça
so
s'est passé?
delicate a topic? How did it go?
Well, obviously, we did not tell her everything about the film. We don't know who she is and where she's from, but we have never seen it before. Her name is Annika, and she's 6 years old. She did what she was asked to do, and a little more. And if I improvised, she followed me, and she changed the stuff. But most beautiful of all, when we finished the scenes, didn't matter what kind of emotional scene it was, she would go over there in the corner and play with her mates. So she was absolutely fantastic, and I've never seen anything like it.
And no kids or animals were harmed in this movie.
Comment on dirige Mads Mikkelsen?
How do you direct Mads Mikkelsen? Because directing a child is difficult because they have this disarming spontaneity. But an actor like Mads Mikkelsen, who comes from another school, as he said himself, how do you work with him? What kind of actor is he?
Well, first of all, Mads and I prepared a lot. We built the character together in conversation and in writing, and conversations again, rehearsals. The system I normally follow, and which I guess Mads does too, is to prepare and prepare and prepare to have sort of a foundation that is solid. And then when the camera switches on, you can let go. You can feel free, and you can step into character, so to speak. Mads knows what to do. It's not difficult. And we didn't communicate with many words while shooting. Nope. He looks at me, I look at him, and we didn't have to say much. We knew if it was good or bad, or wanted to go this way or this way. And he's such a trained man, so in that sense it was absolutely wonderful.
And I think, funny enough, we did spend a lot of time preparing, and we changed a lot, but we changed it back again. What we really needed to do was to put out the questions in the air and answer the questions, so we knew that this is what we're doing. So we did not change that much in the end. We just needed the questions out. And then, when we got the answers, we knew what to do, or had a fairly good idea.
But
Dernier mot,
he's just damn
Thomas.
good. It's that simple.
Ouais,
Écoute,
c'est vrai, extraordinaire.
That's absolutely true. This extraordinary scene in the church that you mentioned. This is also a film about friendship and how you see your friends. Thank you very much to both of you.
La chasse, donc.